What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to another great, epic episode of Just My Opinion Reviews. Guys, we're talking Shogun, episode 5, titled Broken to the Fist. Blackthorn and Mariko struggle to contain the secret that could get them both killed. Yabushige searches for the spy who has betrayed his intentions to Lord Toronaga. Guys, I want to let you know that this spoiler field recap is going to be spoiler filled. Me and my lovely guest over here are going to spoil this episode up, down, left, right, in, and out as if you've already seen it. That is your warning. Let us know what you thought about the episode, our commentary in the comment section. We will both really appreciate it. Like I said, guys, I'm not by myself. I got my homie over there looking fantastic. Miss Kimberly Kern from Southern California. Ma'am, how are you doing? Let the good people know out there how's everything going in your world.
Oh, it's going good. It's going good. Things are moving right along.
That's what's up right there. You changed it up at the end too. Your hair, I'm loving it. I had to give you a compliment because
you guys, Brandon is so patient. The women will understand. I came on here with completely different hair, and then Brandon, I was like, Brandon, wait, and girl, Brandon was very patient with me.
Yes, yeah, of course. Anything for you.
You know how it is.
If you love what me and Miss Kimberly has to say, you can follow both of us on social media. Our handles are on the screen. Her information will be in the description box of this video. And like always, here is her lovely channel where she's posting a video on her channel as well. So follow my channel, follow her channel, follow both channels, give her a subscription, all of that good stuff. Miss Kimberly, we are now halfway through the season. And at the end of this episode, we have the return of Lady Achiba. And she's like, Ashido, y'all tripping, man. Let your boy Toronaga, manipulate y'all. He done handicapped the Council of Regents. Y'all are answering to me now. Do what I say. And the look on his face is like, yes, ma'am. I don't want to upset you, ma'am. Okay. But yeah, and also that was at the end, at the beginning of this, we're picking up from the spaghetti fest from Toranaga's son, Nagakata, and him tripping. And so a lot happened in this episode. A lot happened in the middle too. I did enjoy it for the most part. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. There was a little story point or aspect or two that I really didn't understand with the bird and also with Mariko's backstory. But I cannot wait to hear Miss Kimberly's take on it. But overall, I really did enjoy it. And after this episode, I'm really looking forward to seeing, what's going to happen next with the return of, Lady Ochiba and how much power she does or does not have. Because, we thought, or at least I thought Ashida was the man, but it seems like he is just going to be bowing down to her every request, her every demand with no question at all. Like, he seems like he's afraid of her, And so the mother of the heir is back, and it seems like it's going to go down. Kim, how did you like this episode, especially with it picking up where things left off in episode 4, the middle, the end, everything I mentioned so far? Where are you at so far on this episode 5 titled Broken to the Fist?
I think that you can really, really believe in a show when it just keeps getting better instead of at the halfway point where it peters out. Because, we're in the world of streaming and series, and a lot of times we'll find a show that episode 1 and 2 was like, oh my gosh, ooh. And then episode 3 was like, okay, that was kind of slow. And by episode 5, people either drop off or become like a solid fan. But this is where drop off happens. And I'm so excited for this show and the producers and creators to say that they are holding steady. They earned that Rotten Tomatoes score. They are holding steady. This episode, we're halfway through. It's got me on edge. It's adding depth. When you can continue to add depth in the middle of the series, that's a wonderful thing, because in this episode, we see so much more depth of the fact that they are coming from two worlds. Episode 4, I think you continue to get this fact that Blackthorn, he's an outsider. He's a white guy in Japan, except for the Portuguese. they haven't seen other people except for the Portuguese. So they know there's a broad, wide world out there, but Blackthorn's really their second introduction to whatever else is out there. So I think there was a lot of understanding, a lot of building camaraderie and relationship, especially with him being made Hatamoto, um, and that friendship with Toranaga. But now we're really getting back to understanding how much distance is created from the different cultures and understanding of words and understanding of phrasing and culture and etiquette. You know, we knew that he was struggling with etiquette to begin with, and I think that brings a lot of levity to the show. But here we're finding that that struggle with communication can be deadly.
It can be. And I wanted to ask you, since we're talking about Blackthorn, do you feel that he was disrespectful in any way to the culture with how dismissive he was? I mean, we have one example when Botaro, who is back. We thought he was dead, but he's back. You know,
My
when they
God, I
had
told you if there's no body, you can't claim it. You can't claim it. No body, no charges,
this is true.
basically.
He is back, and so you know he was kind of sizing them up. You know when they was having dinner with the sake and throwing out the dishes and the slurping of the noodles, and
I love
also
that scene. I love
me
that
too.
scene, by
And
the way.
we're definitely going to get in depth as far as that's concerned as well. But also, when the gardener died because of his words, you know, he was just like, you people are crazy. Also, he's going to Toronaga talking about y'all have no value of life over here. I want to go back and never come back. Do you think that he was, you know, very disrespectful to the culture, or he's just still, you know, has a lack of understanding, as Mariko called him out? I mean, he has an understanding now. We'll see how things play out in episode 6. But yeah, I mean, do you think he was disrespectful anyway, or can you understand his reaction to everything?
I can understand his reaction, and I don't say this in a hateful way at all, but through his own ignorance and through our own ignorance. I know I've traveled a bit, and there's a limit, you know, like we all have our limits based on where we come from. And
Mhm.
that doesn't have to be going overseas. That could be spending the night at a friend's house that's a totally different culture than you,
Yeah.
and just your eyes wide open the whole time, like, oh, you talk that way to your dad. Oh wow, your mom has that much power in the house. Oh wow, when your grandma came in, everyone got silent. Like I think it's fascinating and beautiful how we can learn about other cultures, but our openness sometimes can have limits, and that usually is life or death, or certain things that you, like we talked about last week, that you might be asked to eat where you're like, that's my limit, that's my
Yeah.
limit.
Yeah.
But for him, life or death is a limit, and he's like, I get that you guys you're quiet and you're polite, and we talked about the eightfold fence, and you know, don't take our politeness, you know, for that we're stupid or that we're not tough, you know, just because we're polite and we're kind and we have different traditions. But I think his limit is life or death, and his limit, it's like misunderstanding when a kid gets in trouble and your friend goes, well, what's going to happen, like, and you're like, my dad's going to kill me. Like, either your friend could be like, oh man, my dad would kill me too if I, you know, left my super soakers on the lawn. Or if you are from a totally different culture, you might call child protective services and go, this guy's dad is going to murder him. He's going to
Yeah.
kill him. And it's like,
Right.
wait. There's a misunderstanding in communication. Like, I just meant I'm going to get in trouble. Like, my
Right.
dad's not going to kill me. And that's exactly what happens here. I don't think he's being disrespectful. It's ignorance, but not in like that negative way of saying ignorance. It's ignorance of, I just didn't know
Yeah.
how much words meant to you guys,
Right.
and his realization of like, damn, if words mean that much, that I said if you touch that bird, I'll kill you. I didn't mean for you to kill him, and so
Right.
that's where he's somewhat, and I hate to use this word, he's somewhat disgusted with the idea that because he said don't touch my bird, you know, that I'm letting rot. He's disgusted with the idea that you actually thought I meant kill him.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, you know what? I can't take this anymore. I can't take this barrier of communication. I want to go home because he liked his gardener. He was a
Right.
sweet old man. And he's at the point where he's like, dang, I can't say anything to you guys. You
Right.
take everything so seriously. You da 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 da. So I don't think it's disrespect as much as it is just the ignorance and the distance between the cultures.
I agree. I like well said. Yeah, he was done. He was out of there. You know. Well, what really sucks is just the misunderstanding because even though there's still a language barrier between himself, the Blackthorn and Fuji. She was like, "Hey, can we get rid of this?" When he came outside looking for Mariko, and he's like, "I don't understand what you're saying," and just walked off. And if
Yeah,
only somebody could have been there to, express just how disgusting that was to all the townspeople. I mean, he's used to being in flies. It doesn't bother him at all. He's used to being musty and stinky. Last episode in 4, she's like, "Oh, it's nice that you've changed your mind about taking a bath." He was like, 2 baths a week. Oh my gosh. But they're like dang near royalty. I mean, even talking about the kitchen utensils and he's contaminated the kitchen. They're just super clean. All these flies don't bother him. But
yeah,
yeah, a huge misunderstanding. A huge misunderstanding
yeah.
is still an understatement. So he's gonna learn though, and he definitely did in this episode. But
Yeah,
even
he didn't, but honestly, Brandon, I have to add, he didn't spit on anything. He didn't desecrate anything. I think that's the difference. I feel like when you're in another country of disrespect, if you spat on it, if you threw it in the garbage, in all his ignorance, he's fumbling along, but I don't think he disrespected them. I think he was trying to communicate his limits as an Englishman.
got you. Now help me out with this. What was the significance of the bird of the falcon anyway? Because prior to this, when Lord Toranaga and his army of 1,000 men showed up, with Buntaro. Shout out to Buntaro. The deadly samurai. He looked pretty dope up on that horse. I'm not gonna lie. Um, Nakakaru, his son, he's talking to him like, "Hey, Dad, I know you're upset with me," and he's like, "You're stupid. I know you didn't come
Yeah,
up with this
yeah,
yourself. Did Yabushige or Omi, manipulate you?" They was doing some stuff with the hawk, and they had one dead bird, and then he sent that off and gave it to Blackthorn. I don't understand why Blackthorn was so happy of receiving the bird and then hang it up in the first place. Because he was like, "We're gonna hang it up, I'm gonna let it sit here and we're gonna cook it later." But then he let it rot. Why did you let it rot when you was first saying that you was gonna cook it? And then I just don't understand why he was so impressed by it anyway. Oh, Tornaga gave me a dead bird.
yeah.
Yes. Help me out, please. I know that flew over my head. Y'all can rip me up in the comments, but I just didn't get that.
It's an English dish. It's an
Okay.
English dish. So he got really excited because he's like, okay, birds, we have that in common. And where I'm from, we make this dish where first you let it rot. And after we let it rot, ooh, it's going to taste so good. So that's actually, it was a part of an English dish, an English recipe. And part of the recipe is when you get the fowl, you let it rot for a couple of days. You let earth take its course over the bird, and then you smoke it. You dry it out. You pick the feathers off and you cook it. It's almost like I don't know, like when we ferment something,
Hmm.
the fermentation process can be really gross to some people. Um, or like, you know, cleaning chitlins could be gross
Oh,
to some people. But for him, he was so excited because it was a taste of home. He
okay.
was like, one, he was honored that he got any type of gift from Tornaga. He's like, I love that, we're keeping this relationship going. But also, it's like us going to Japan and somebody giving us a very familiar ingredient that we couldn't find anywhere else and being like, oh, I can make hot water cornbread with this. You guys don't even know. Like, wait, watch me do my thing. Like, that's what it was. He was excited. And unfortunately, in England, there's different culinary practices. And part of cooking this dish was to let it rot first. And
Man.
then you do something with it. So that's why he was like, out of excitement, he's like, oh my gosh, if any of you touches this, I'm going to kill you.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so that's why he was so disgusted that they killed him, because he's like, I just meant like I really want to eat this dish. I didn't mean, So it wasn't a ritual. It was a dish. It was culinary.
Okay, yeah. Because over here, man, where I grew up, if something's rotten, you throw it away. I was just like, this guy is silly. He was really proud at the dinner table when Butaro came and stayed with him. Now, Mariko was like, "Yeah, we have a particular taste. This is our loss. We're not going to eat that." And he was like, "This stew over here." I was like, "Bro,
The rabbit
yeah,
stew.
y'all on completely different ends of the world here with your taste." Because he was all proud, like, "Yeah, this is a delicacy," and they're like, "Bruh, you're eating shit, basically." So
Yeah, and for him, I mean, in England, it's England, Scotland, Ireland. It's a lot of stews. It's a
yeah,
lot of stews. It's a lot of soups, and for them, they're like, because for some people, rodents are rodents. Like, so eating rabbit, it was a rabbit stew. He made them. So for them, they're like, that's like someone barbecuing a rat, and no shame, because in some countries, low key, that's like barbecue rats. What's up? Like, so in some countries, what you consider gross, like I told you, my people's is from Arkansas. I got a picture of my grandmother and her friends in the middle of the street with a big old like pot, and they're cooking roadkill. I
yeah.
remember growing up and us, me and my sisters being like, ew, you could, and my grandma was like, girl, some possum on the side of the road, don't play with me, don't
Oh
give me
my
some.
God,
So for certain people, certain cultures,
I'm learning so much about you through this.
you said, oh, she country.
You good. You good. Well, what do you think about Toranaga's conversation with the son, Nagakaru or
Oh
Nagakade?
my God.
Because he didn't seem like it was a big deal, kind of. Like, I know you're upset with me, Dad, but and he was like, "You will address me as Lord. You're stupid. You're childish." What did you think about that conversation? I quite enjoyed it myself. But what did you get out of it?
My question to the child would be like, do you kill cats in your spare time? Like, are you crazy, crazy? Like, do I got to worry about you? Like, because what he did wasn't just, I mean, I guess war is war, but to me, that was psychotic.
Yeah.
And so, but his father, you have to remember, his dad is in charge of so much. He is the lord over all this land, and there's so much happening. He kind of doesn't have time for his son's silliness. Because he just sees it like, you silly boy, like you seriously did, like, do you have any idea what you just did?
Yeah.
That's so
Took,
dumb.
took
Like,
away, took away his command from the artillery and all that.
yeah, yeah, but what gets me is his son had that look in his eye. Like, I don't know what's wrong.
Right.
I just killed him. I just don't make spaghetti. What's the matter? Like, you are crazy. He is crazy with a K. But his dad just was like, I leave for a couple days and you want to act crazy. So it's kind of that thing of like, I don't have time for you. Instead of being an asset to me, you're wasting my time. You're my son. But if you weren't, know this, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
And I don't believe he would. If he wasn't his son, he would have killed him.
I agree with
So
you
he's
100%.
got way bigger fish and I was Ishido's guy. So you kick the hornet's nest, man. Like, it's enough I gotta deal with this white guy, like doesn't know what's what and trying to eat some rotten bird. Now I gotta deal with you acting crazy.
Yeah. 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 I kind of wish they would have shown some type of thrashing of some sort, him pop him in the head or something like that. I don't know. I'm being silly but serious at the same time. He kind of got off easy, in my
Yeah, I
opinion.
think he got off way easy.
Yeah, yeah. Like, hey, punch him in the chest or something. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Cut him up a
Smack
little bit.
him.
Yeah, I mean, cut him up a little bit. That sounds crazy, but no, well, no, it's not, because what he did was insane. And then on top of that, they delivered the head. The one guy over there, the local villager, he's like, man, all these blasted cannons, dead corpses. We didn't ask for this. We trying to chill, yeah, and we clean up the mess.
Yeah.
From there.
Yeah, because you have to remember that's a new weapon to them.
Yeah, yeah.
That these are new they've been introduced to guns, but they're like, this giant double XL, 5XL gun is going off all day. Like, we didn't ask for this.
Yeah. And what is interesting to me is, even though he was upset and reprimanded his son for doing that disgusting spaghetti deed, and he took away his army, his regent, or artillery command of the cannons, and gave it to Omi. but he knew that Omi was the one that manipulated him, because when Toronaga was talking to Yabashige, he was like, look, I know that my son is not clever enough to come up with this on his own. Were you the one that manipulated my son? And Yabashige is like, no, it wasn't me. Okay, well, it must have been your nephew. And, he was like, yeah, because they were having sake the night before. But then he ends up promoting Omi. He's given he's stripping his son, but giving that power to Omi. And even though he was upset about it, he was also happy that it happened too, which is kind of weird, because he's like, hey, if we were to attack Osaka, we would lose, but now they're going to have to go on the offensive and attack us, and we can drain their men. So I just find it kind of weird and interesting that he scolded his son for it, but he's also happy that it happened anyway. Or I guess this is just his way of making the best out of a worse situation. Like, this is what happened, we can't go back, so let me take advantage of it here. How did you feel about that whole breakdown? Because that was interesting to me. Their conversation and the promotion of Omi and all that.
The wisest thing for a leader to do is to see things for what they are and not what you want them to be, and to not have delusions of grandeur of your own lordship. To think, well, surely no one would do this to me. Surely they wouldn't backstab me. That's foolishness. And you look back at history, and that's how a lot of people have led. Is obviously this guy was backstabbing you. No, and you think so highly of yourself. I think Toronaga is an immensely wise leader, because he sees things for exactly what they are, to the point where it's like, do you even care that people are loyal to you? Because remember, he said something in the Yabashige. He said, so who are you, whose side are you on today?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like, he's well aware that Yabashige is on Team Yabashige, and that he's like, go back to Lord Ishido. Go be on his side, because you know what? It would serve me for you to go be on his side right now. Yeah. I don't know if you'll come back to me or not. If you do, this is what I expect. He sees things for exactly what they are. And instead of being like, he doesn't have time for foolishness. He's not going to rub it in Yabashige's face and be like, oh, your nephew betrayed you. Oh, he did this behind your back. He's like, you know what? I think I'll promote him, because if he's sneaky enough, because his eyes are wide open. He's like, if Ami is sneaky enough to convince my idiot son to do such a ridiculous act of war and put us in this position, wow, he convinced my son to go against me and do something very crazy. I could use him, instead of, I want him to fall in line and you better get him in line and get him to serve me. No, he sees people for what they are, and he's like, wow, Omi is like super, super sneaky. But I think in his wisdom, while everyone else is on the team myself, this man's not going to forget. Along the line, I think he will just as easily cut Omi's throat if it comes down to it. He's like, oh, another pawn. It's like playing a game and not knowing what the pieces do. And then when you figure it out, you don't take it personally. You just play the piece for what it does.
Yeah.
And that's what he's doing. That's how he's playing this game of chess.
Good stuff. I also got a nice little kick out of the Council of Regents. They're like, we're handicapped. What do we do? We can't, we can't impeach him because he already quit. They're going around talking about, who can we replace him with, and they're naming names. How about Mito? How about this guy? He's like, I don't want to sit next to that syphilis guy. He's like, you do realize.
That was hilarious.
Yes, it was. I was like,
don't buy Bob, he stinks. Yeah.
They couldn't agree on. I mean, it was good for them initially, because it was like, what did Ashita say? I'm glad that I'm fortified, or something, that we're united on this, or something like that. He used the word fortified, but they couldn't come up with anybody. Will they come up with anybody in the future? Who will it be? We'll see. Wink, wink.
Oh, they don't need to now.
Really? Why is that? Oh, because of the
homegirls like y'all over here playing with Play-Doh. The big kids are running things, and I'm about to tell you what's up.
Yeah.
They don't. It doesn't matter who the fifth person is.
I also thought it was bold. That's true. I also thought it was bold that they actually sent the head of Josen to Ashido as well. Like, man, y'all just gonna rub it in? You know, you couldn't send a bird or falcon and be like, hey, they dead. You know, but you gonna send
That
the
was
head?
so stupid. And if you think about it, because they were all cleaning up afterwards, that had to be to me, in my opinion, the son did something crazy, but he's not that smart.
Mhm.
So to me, Omi sent that.
I
The
got
way
you.
I read it was Omi had to have done that because the son is not smart enough and he's not thinking ahead enough to go. And then he was like, okay, and then I'm gonna cut his head off. Like, no, that was way too strategic. Omi did that because they could have just buried him and had Oshida send someone else and be like, our regiment never came back. I don't know. I mean, it's wildlife. Like wildlife be crazy sometimes. Am I
Yeah.
right? Like, I don't know. They're just missing. Like he
Not
didn't have to
necessarily.
send the head. They could
Yeah,
have just gone missing.
that's true.
So Omi,
That's
I
true.
think Omi sent the head over there because he's like, ooh, and then let me do this, you know.
Okay. Do you think it was a good idea for Toronaga to say, "Hey, Mariko, I still want you to stay at the engine's house, not only with him but your husband that has returned"? Because we got a reaction from her when because Nakakata was like, "Oh, look, Mariko, your husband's back. He's riding on his horse coming back." She's like looking, and when she's talking to Toronaga later, he's like, "Hey, I want you to go stay at the Andrews house." She's like, well, what about my husband? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get close to him. It's been over 20 days. I thought he was dead. Like, oh, I command him to go stay with you guys as well, so you can serve both. How do you feel about that? Do you think that was a good play on
I mean, it wasn't just that. It was like Blackthorn's my new boo. Like, I
yeah,
don't know if we've settled this.
right.
Have we settled this? Do we agree, or is there still are we still wondering who he
Yeah, I
was
think
getting
that
that ill na
yeah,
na with? Like,
I'm with you. I think that I guess it was Mariko that they got it together. So that's what's up
so
right there.
I think that's mostly her concern is like because remember after they had the talk at the jacuzzi or the jacuzzi at the hot spring, um, she went back. You just had to do
I had to. I had to.
it. She
But
went
after I
back
had
to
to
her
talk,
room.
yeah.
She went back to her room and her heart was on cloud nine. Remember how excited she was when she went and she lit her candles and she like, he's sweet and he like long walks and whatnot. Like, oh
Right.
my God. Like she was so like a little girl. She was like those love butterflies. She was so excited. And this was before they slept together. And so
Mhm.
she just caught feelings and she felt so free with him. Because also don't forget, with her husband gone, yeah, that's sad. That's the father of my child. But she's like, this man disrespects me so much. He's abusive. And then talking to Blackthorn, she felt a sense of freedom that she had never had before. And so for him to come back, it was more than just my husband's back. It was oppression is back. I am no longer free. That's like hearing that you're free and then getting papers that you got to go back to jail right away.
Mm,
Like for a woman, like that's what her husband writing in was like, I'm not free.
yeah.
All that excitement, all that, this guy from a new country, he brings these new ideas and he talks to me like a person. And you got to go back to being talked to like a dog. That's what
Yeah.
she was dealing with. And on top of it, like this guy that made me feel so great, we're gonna stay in his house?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
It's crazy.
No, I can't handle all that drama.
The Fuji is over there stressed, like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? Oh my god.
She was so stressed.
Yeah, like
She was like the camera
yeah,
caught her so many times. She was like,
yeah. Man, I wish I had a picture of her. But you're right, man. Fuji was like, this is
she
crazy,
was like,
man.
oh damn. Like,
Yeah,
cause she
yeah,
doesn't, she's not in love with Blackthorn. Like she sees things for what they are. But and to me, she was happy for Mariko. To me, she
yeah.
probably knew. I don't think she was like, hey, now I'm the woman of the house. She was like, girl, be free. You need
Oh,
to
definitely.
like
100%.
I don't think that bothered her at
100%.
all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And they're
100%.
friends. That's her girl. Like,
You think
like
I was gonna find out that he
about
tapped
what?
his wife? That Blackthorn tapped his wife, slept with his wife? You think he's gonna find out?
Oh, but Bashar, but what's his name?
Buntaro told us something.
Buntaro. I don't know because I'm like, if you couldn't have picked up on the way they were looking at each other, the way he fought for her. Well, I guess just any man from another country that sees you throwing arrows centimeters from your wife's face is going to try to intervene. So I don't know. I think at some point he might find out because it might come down to her defending him or her choosing between Blackthorn and her husband, and she might surprisingly go, you know what, so
Because bigger than yours. No, I, uh, I he's very skillful with the bow and arrow. He was able to do that while he was sloppy drunk. So that's pretty cold.
oh my god, what a and the way she stood there and took it and was like, he does this all the time, like it's so abusive. Like like the way he was like, move, Mariko, for goodness
Yeah,
sakes, move. And she knew, like, no, this is his
yeah,
way of treating me, of taunting
yeah.
me. And I thought that was so cruel and crazy. And these men are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm kind of bothered. I'm annoyed because when Todosama, this is both his names. When he first showed up, he's got his chest all out, shoulders back, catching flies and stuff, looking like a badass. But I just don't like that Blackthorn was able to get under his skin and get him to throw out his tradition, drinking from the big bowl. Like, this is how we do it over in my country. And he's like, well, I'm massage you up. And Blackthorn is used to getting sloppy drunk like that. I don't think Buntaro is, and he's ended up
No.
beating his wife and throwing her on the ground. And we're gonna talk about that. However, before that, he was like, hey, you don't need to tell him no story. Just make something up. He not gonna know. He made her tell the story of where she comes from and how she comes from a line of dishonor. That's the other part I don't understand. They talked about an assassin, like some assassin that tried to take out the Taiko before, but Mariko's father is the one that defended him, or that defended him, and then I don't. It didn't make sense to
I
me.
I didn't.
Or maybe I interpreted it wrong, heard it wrong. The whole I was like, okay, what's the big deal? It seemed like your father was the hero, but I may have misheard it. Please explain that to me, because
I think, and I would love to hear the comments in the comment section, but the way I took the story was I don't know if I want to say this, but I will. The way I took it was her father kind of led a one man insurrection, kind of had his own January 6th, and he took out someone that was a leader but was a cruel leader, and he took him out because it was honorable for him, but for everyone that was following, it was almost as if, like, say Toranaga was a bad guy and somebody went and killed Toranaga. Like, that was her father, basically. He took out somebody that was the leader, but was a bad guy,
right,
and so if for the people that were serving that leader, he's a disgrace. He's a how we're put to defend this man, not to be the assassin. Like, how dare you? And so for their punishment, the father was killed along with her mother and her siblings. But because she was newly married, she couldn't go fight and defend herself. There must be some tradition about newly married women, because she said the only reason she couldn't fight was because she was newly married. So
right,
that tells me that women were able to fight during that time.
right, right.
So I think that her husband is like, you know what? Like, I'm now, because they were already married. So he was this prideful man. So he's like, your father embarrassed me. Now there's shame on my household. And so people probably know that you want to commit Saptuke, you want to kill yourself, but I'm not going to let you. Me
Yeah,
letting you live is going to be the punishment for the rest of your life.
gotcha.
Which is crazy that you have to ask permission to commit suicide. That's
Yeah,
interesting to me about the culture, because while he's off at war, she could slit her throat. So, and I don't say that callously. Like I'm just putting facts that like that's interesting that you have to ask to kill yourself
yeah,
um,
yeah. That's yeah.
every year. So this is it's very deep and it's very interesting. But basically, to the countryman, her father, um, and also I don't think Tornaga saw her father as a betrayal. I think Tornaga agreed because I think in episode 2, when she was eating with Tornaga and his wife in Osaka, he was saying something about her father being a hero, I
Yeah.
thought. I slightly remember that. I could be totally wrong, but I think I remember that. So I think Tornaga sees her in a different light than her husband sees
Yeah, it would just it's just interesting because, like you said at the
her, I think.
beginning, her father killed somebody that was cruel. So I'm thinking like she killed her father killed somebody like Ashido or worse or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
to your point, if Tornaga looks at it as honorable, why doesn't Buntaro look at it as honorable?
Politics.
And in the end, why would he want to marry her anyway? If
He was already married to her when her
Oh,
father
okay.
did that. They were
Okay.
newlyweds. They were newly married.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right.
So she couldn't go defend her father or bring honor to their family in any way. So he was like, that's why he's so bitter about her. Is he's like, I had already married you, and then your whole family done gone and embarrassed me.
Yeah. Right.
So
You're right.
I thought he hated her because of like the politics of the day, or my wife is she's seen in higher translator. She speaks more languages than I do, but he actually hates her for a deeper reason.
And then he beat her or threw her down and roughed her up, made her bleed, asshole. Um, I thought it was gonna be a bigger confrontation. I was like, are they about to fight? Is he about to pull out the swords? I
And
was
then
like,
I
oh
thought Bintaro was going to kill himself.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I brought drama to your household.
yeah, yeah. I kind of I mean, I'm glad that he admitted fault. He's still an asshole, but at least he was like, man, I done disrupted the harmony of your home. I'm tripping. I'm sorry. It was, he said, Shogun. So I mean, give him a little credit, but yeah, you can't be putting your hands on people, let alone your wife, dude. You need to you got a lot of making up to do, player. You got a lot of making up to
And
do.
he's bitter because he's like, now I'm under this man's. I gotta even apologize. Like he did it because he's an honorable warrior, and he's sticking to his traditions because that's the right thing to do. If you bring drama to someone's household, is to apologize. But I think it's messy. That it's just so messy,
Yeah.
so messy.
Very, very messy. Um, so Mariko and Blackthorn was smashing last episode, but now she's like, look, player, you don't understand. You're making all these assumptions about our culture. Life and death is the same. You got those swords on your belt. That's really because oh boy was a coward, and Fuji's grandfather paid a samurai 3 bags of rice, and Fuji don't know that. She thinks this is all noble and honorable and stuff, but that's what she merits, and this is what my husband merits, and hating and spite. Basically, like you were saying at the beginning of this recording, Blackthorn is saying a bunch of ignorant stuff and has ruined the relationship between himself and Mariko. She's like, we ain't gonna be talking no more unless it's from the lips of anyone else. And they have different definitions of what freedom is.
They
She was like,
do.
if all you seek is freedom, you'll never be free of yourself. He like, no, my life is my life. Your life is your life. You don't got to listen to your husband who beats you. I'm with him on this one. I mean, I like Mariko, but I'm like, hold on, why are you being? He's talking about you all these rituals and customs. You're getting beat on. You're not happy. You're screaming, get out, everybody, get out. And that's just really crazy to me. And I don't mind saying crazy. That's just crazy to me that she's just like F freedom. I don't want to talk to you no more unless we absolutely have to. I'm with Blackthorn. Who are you with, Team Mariko or Team Blackthorn on this, Miss Kimberly?
You know, gosh, that's a great question. It really depends on. I feel like if he had been in Japan a few more years, he might have not even argued with her, not because he disagrees, but because he understands more their point of view. So I think it's one of those things where, like in the beginning, you have to understand, although there's your way and there's my way, at some point there has to be understanding of we are in such different worlds. I can't tell you what's wrong and you can't tell me what's wrong because we're not speak it's apples and oranges. Freedom to me is freedom to her is tradition and giving oneself over to the rules, the country, the faith. So that's freedom to her is holding true to tradition, where freedom to him is like letting go of tradition and saying,
Hmm.
I don't care that if the head of the house said, you'll die for touching this bird. You don't really kill somebody over
Yeah.
the dinner that I'm making. You know, that freedom to him is letting tradition, freedom to her is giving yourself over to tradition. So, and then in her place, it's really about honor and how you honor one's culture. You know, like, will you die for your country is what it comes down to. Some people are like, I mean, I like my country, but I wouldn't die for it. And some people are
Right.
like, it would be an honor to die for my country. So I think this is where we get down to the point where they are so not speaking the same language in in a different way that she's like, we're too different. I like you, you like me. I do feel a sense of freedom with you, but I think another part of it is that she is afraid to accept his version of freedom because that would mean letting go of all that she knows. All she knows are the honor and the obedience to God and country. She doesn't know living for oneself because that's not what the Japanese culture is about, especially at that time, is living for oneself, you know. And that's where he comes from is you know, he think about it. He left his 2-year old daughter, like his daughter's 2 years old now, and she's never
Mhm.
seen him. And according to him, he'll never see her, and he's okay with that because it's more
Yeah.
important to me that I experience the freedom of discovering a new land and bringing something to England. You have a 2-year old girl
Yeah.
that doesn't bring you home. For
Yeah.
some men, that would make you kill 100 men to get home to that little baby girl.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
you, you're like, but I gotta see the world. And it's like, and he has a son that he did see and hold and have a relationship with, and you'd give that all up. So at this point, the values are just too different.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna see how the relationship pans out between these two because it seemed like they was gonna be getting along great for the duration or the rest of it at least. But now she's like, I'm sick of you, bro. You just talking too, you just running your mouth, you don't know nothing. Get out of here. You know what I'm saying? So that's see, but that's interesting. Yabashige is like, hey man, we gotta get this spy out of here, man. But he tearing up houses and stuff, and Toronaga over there, in the caverns with I was gonna say pigeons, falcons hitting on the countryside, talking about the wings are wet, and he has a good samurai that this whole time I thought that was just a poor fisherman
A
hobo, man.
lowly fisherman.
Yeah, he's like, man, you one of my best guys, hey, hey, Yabushige is close, man. He almost got me. What am I gonna do? Give him somebody else. And he gave him a juror. And I like at the end, the dead gardener. I like at the end, he gave him that look like, oh, he bought it. And so yeah, Tornaga is like
He's
he's
slick.
9 steps ahead. So
He's always ahead. He's
yeah,
always ahead. And I was so surprised when that fisherman. I thought he was just a loyal fisherman, but
no,
he's 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 been riding with this guy forever. Like he's like a top samurai too. So
yeah.
I mean, I love it. I love how slick Tornaga is. I love it. But
He
and the
he
funny, yeah,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say the funny thing is how open he is with Yabashige. He could have had that conversation with him. Like, I have a spy. Like, they all know what they're doing.
I
It's
was
just a
just
matter of
about
how
to
long
say
it's going to
that.
last.
Yes.
They
I was just
all know what each
about to
other's
say
doing.
that. He know he can't trust Yabushige. He just
Yep.
keeping them close on the leash. Just like, I'm gonna use you until I can't no more. You know what I'm saying? So you say you loyal to me, but I don't believe you. Go back to
Yep.
Shido. That's interesting right there. So yeah, that was a nice little revelation. Only thing that's kind of beyond me is like, why do they have to necessarily hide the birds? It's a bird. Like, are they that identifiable? Like, I mean, are they a
Well,
certain color or something? Like, it's a bird. Like, oh, that's Toronaga's bird right there. It has 346 feathers on it.
look, these birds are busy running emails back and forth. These birds have stuff to do. They don't have time to be distracted and
I
getting
guess you.
caught and someone's hunting birds and they could get hunted. These birds are busy. They have messages to communicate. He has to hide them because they're messenger birds.
Okay, okay. I got you. I ain't mad at you. Good observation. But at the beginning of the episode, we saw how deep Tornaga was with his army. He had some men, but it looks like he doesn't have much anymore. That they was taken out by the gosh darn earthquake, and so was Tornaga himself. Lost his swords. Kim,
Dude,
man,
dude,
and
that
show us the
scene.
background. He's diving in to try to save everybody. He tried to save. Well, no, he didn't try to save Yabashige in episode 1, but he was concerned about Buntaro. He dived in first to save Toranaga. That's pretty good right there. He may get another promotion. I don't know, but his army is gone, or it looks like it. What
God,
the
that's
hell? What is
crazy.
going on, Kim? Like, that has to
Dude.
really turn your stomach. What is
I
Toranaga?
gotta tell you, when I saw that earthquake, because I've lived in California almost my whole life, and it just reminded me of the '96 earthquake here in Northridge,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, like so much happened during. I remember living through that earthquake, and we got palm trees out here in California. You gotta understand, those palm trees were going top to bottom.
Yeah.
I watched houses across the street, literally the whole house sway. Um, Glass coming out of your cabinet. I lived through that, or that the freeway came down near where
Mm.
I live. Like
Oh
I
my God.
remember, I remember that earthquake because you hear California, we have little earthquakes here and there, but when you have a big one, I lived through that. It is something to behold. It's crazy. It
Yeah.
is really scary and crazy. And when I saw that earth shaking and I realized this wasn't like she called it a baby earthquake. This wasn't a baby earthquake. This was that 7.1 that you hear about happening in Japan and you see the videos on Instagram. Japan has some crazy earthquakes. And just seeing how, because there's no infrastructure, there's no concrete, so seeing that mountain just come down. I love the graphics. I love the effects on this show. One, the show is just aesthetically beautiful, but seeing the ground just come from underneath them and then seeing Toranaga go down, I was like, oh my God. But then
Yeah.
even afterward, when they're like, Lord, look, and you hear just the sound of the ground. And I got to tell you, Brandon, the sound of an earthquake is the eeriest thing
I bet.
one might hear. I don't know what a tornado sounds like. I don't know what a mudslide sounds like, but the sound of the earth crumbling underneath your feet, it's something you'll never forget. And it's so creepy and eerie. And just seeing that tidal wave of rocks and mud and trees go into the town, I'm like, with it's a catastrophe, but it's also political. What do you have? What's left? How much of your army is left? How much of your people are left? Like
That's right.
this is, and right before, right after Ishido's finding out about what you did, this is terrible for the politics of the situation. In
Yeah.
addition to it just being terrible, and but the way it looked was just, I had to rewind because it just looked so magnificent the way they captured um, what earthquakes were like back then when you had no infrastructure. It was just so wild. And This show is great, man. This show, man, the
Yeah.
effects looked fantastic. That looked fantastic, as crazy and creepy as it was.
I also like how empathetic Blackthorn was, and that during the aftermath when he ran back and saw like all the destroyed homes. He saw Fuji on the ground. She was hurt, trying to recover. They had a little moment as well. And I think that really because prior to that, he was like, man, F these people. I want to get out of here. Y'all killing people over dead birds. You know, I want my men back. But I think now he's truly embraced the culture, you know, to a level that he hadn't before. And was like, man, they kind of feel like family, you know, because that when he put his hand on Fuji's hand when she was laying down, he cared about her. You
You
know,
don't have to smash a woman to care about her. He cares.
of
Yeah,
course, of
he
course, of
cares.
course, of course. And so yeah, he was really shooken up by that, and no pun intended. You know, so I did like that right there. But only thing we got left is you know, Lady Achiba. She returns and she's like, I'm ready to get things in order because y'all bull crapping, you know, and you know, your boy,
She's
yeah,
whoa.
yeah,
But don't forget that interesting. I think there's something more. Remember all the looks that her and Toranaga were giving each other when
hmm went back in
the
time.
the shogun was dying.
Yeah,
Um,
about a
they were
typhoon.
looking, and especially Taiko. Thank you. Especially when they were saying, "And Taiko, your son," and Toranaga looked at her like, "I don't know. We still don't know what that was.
Yeah,
What was that look,
yeah,
bro?" And
yeah,
remember, she was a very we saw a little bit of her personality. She's a she bitch. Like she
she,
is she was rude, she was disrespectful, she was sharp with everybody and rolling her eyes. Like she's a piece of work. And with this show, every time we think we're getting like, oh man, like what's next? Like with her, I'm like, oh shoot.
was
What's
she
next?
was she really in Edo under Toranaga against her own will? Like,
I still don't understand what that was about because Toranaga said like she just went to see like my daughter-in-law had a baby, like she just
yeah,
went to help out. And then but the way she was talking to uh
Ashido?
oh thank you, Ishido was like, "Oh, finally I'm out of there." So I don't
Yeah,
know, was she a five-star prisoner just like Toranaga was a
Toranaga was in
five-star prisoner in Osaka? I don't know what that was about. I would love to
yeah,
hear what everybody thinks
yeah,
in the
yeah,
comments. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I was like, huh, you know, like, I mean, I just saying for her to present herself as such a powerful being at the end of this
Yeah.
episode, you know, I'm just like, wait a minute, well, so were you there against your own will, or you know, I mean, because she also said she didn't feel like her son was safe, the air was safe, and so you know, I thought it was because of marriages and the baby at the beginning. You know, he was maybe Tornago was like, stay here a little bit longer than you initially thought because I don't want you getting, you know, attacked by bandits in the forest or something. I don't know, but I kind of want them to flesh that out. We'll see. But Miss Cole,
Yeah.
what are your final thoughts for this episode 5 titled "Broken to the Fist"?
Oh my gosh.
Well, that talking about the Falcons as well, but go ahead. Go
So
ahead.
much is happening. I kind of feel like Blackthorn could still say, "Look, I'm sorry about this earthquake. I hope you're okay. You know, I hear these swords. I give them to you with all my heart, but I still gotta go." So, what you know what I'm saying? Like, what's gonna make like an earthquake isn't just gonna make him stay. Like she said, we have earthquakes all the time. He's not gonna stay just because of an earthquake. So, what's gonna keep him here is my question. Um, there's so much Omi. I know he was in the background this episode, but he really started all this.
Mhm.
And so Omi and Yabushige, there's now Yabushige's pissed because he's like, "You're my nephew. You're supposed to be helping me. Everyone's supposed to be helping me. My soldiers are you know they started out cheering my name and they end cheering Tornaga's name. My nephew starts out serving me and you're my yes man, and now you're higher ranked than me. What
Yeah.
about me?" So I think Yabushige. I don't know when a man like that who's team yourself gets pushed to an edge, I feel like we haven't seen the worst of him yet. So there's so much simmering that I'm so excited to see.
So much simmering, guys. It's a lot to go. It's heating up in the kitchen. Get out if you can't handle it. I can't wait either. I'm going to echo everything you're saying. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is going to wrap it up for me and Miss Kimberly's episode recap of Shogun number 5, titled Broken to the Fist. What did you think about the episode? What did you think about our commentary? Are you able to answer all of our questions and clear up some things we were not 100% on? Let us know down in that comment section below. Give a thumbs up, share the video, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to her channel, all that good stuff. And like you said in our recap, yeah, it's a still high rating, 99% right now. So that's a beautiful thing. What do the lovely people have to look forward to on your channel, Miss Kim? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, guys. So I've got a podcast called The Film That Made You ... And it's about how film has inspired us and changed our lives. And I am looking for submissions. So if you or you know someone who whose life has been changed by a film, please hit me up. Let me know. You can catch me on Instagram or through my page. And mostly, I want to say, let's get Brandon to 50,000 subscribers because he's so close. He's bringing great content. And so share his videos, share it with your friends. Let's talk about film, you guys.
Yes, thank you. Right now, I'm at the time of this recording, I'm at 49,800. Oh, let me make myself bigger or my phone. I am at 49,845 subscribers. So help your boy out. This is what my channel looks like. Of course, if this is your first time here, covering all the Shogun, all the episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're talking episode 5 now, of course. Check out the Oscars recap. Check out me and Kimberly's Barbie review that was nominated for Best Picture. Check out American Fiction, Past Lives, just a few of these Oscar films that was nominated. Also, if you are into comic book superhero news, check out the latest episode of Super Duper, episode number 39. We're talking everything you see right here: Deadpool, Wolverine, Batman. Was it the DeMaio guy? Was fired from X-Men 97. What the hell happened? Shang-Chi coming back with Iron Fist, all that good stuff. I had a good time recapping that as well. So, guys, again, we want to thank you so much for tuning in. And before you go, don't forget that I'm B. Avery, that's Kimberly, and that's just our opinion. Peace out, and we'll see you next time.